Good morning and welcome. We're here at SMTconnect and we're talking to Greg. And Greg's going to, first of all, introduce himself and his company.
Sure. Awesome, thank you. My name is Greg Lance. I work for a company called V-Tek, and we're located in Mankato, Minnesota, which is about 60 miles south of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota Airport in the United States. And been here for about 9 years and been coming to this show for 9 years since I joined the company. But anyway, so glad to be here. And what we do, we basically manufacture and sell tape and reel packaging machinery for SMT, for electronic, capacitors, resistors, all that fun stuff. And so it's nice to be here.
So in terms of, obviously, manufacturing, you have to work to standards that the industry understands.
That's correct.
How do you get involved, perhaps, in improving the standards
Okay.
where there are sort of areas that are perhaps not well defined?
Well, one thing, I mean, with most of the things that we build, most of it is standard equipment that we've been building for the last 40 years. But we're definitely acute to different standards that may come out, and that kind of drives also some of our customization. Because sometimes the standard may change, and customer may need one of our equipment, so we may need to do some custom modifications, which we do a lot of in this business. So it's something that we're aware of. For the most part, it hasn't been an issue, but if it ever comes up to be, we always can deal with it.
But what's the number one thing that the customer is asking right now for newer technology? What's the sort of the buzzy word?
I would say, well, and that it really all depends upon the markets, because we sell into, aerospace, SMT, semiconductor, many different kinds of things. I would say probably the most thing that people are most aware of is probably throughput, and then also the fact of adding automation such as inspection. Now everybody not only wants a machine that's going to do tape and reel, to put the product into carrier tape, and then cover it up, and then of course put it on a reel, but now they're very interested in looking and inspecting the part. Looking at things like different kinds of defects on the part at a very small thing. And another thing that's driving it too is the ability to work with really tiny parts. So we recently introduced one of our robotic initiatives, and we've been able to work with parts that are much smaller than we normally have been able to work with. For example, some parts that we work with are down to 0202, which is, very small, 0.02 inch by 0.02 inches. So it really all depends upon the market, what the part is, and then of course what the customer's expectations are.
Well, there are two sizes below that. There's the 0201, the 01005, and then the,
right.
I won't say it on video what I refer to it as because it'd have to be censored.
Right.
But I appreciate the concern. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the interesting things with the ultra small parts
Right.
is ESD, not from a damage point of view,
True.
but from a movement point of view.
I agree.
Is that something that you've experienced or customers experience?
One of the things I think with our robotic situation, we basically not only are using the shaker table to help pick the part, but then also too, I don't think that as far as the damage has come up, what's come up more than anything else is how do you accurately place these into carrier tape, and when you move the tape, how do you keep the part from basically moving around? Because you're talking about very tiny parts. So we've actually come out with a new hybrid taper that basically has protection to prevent these parts from actually popping out of the tape when the tape is in motion. So that's one thing we've had to overcome, and again, it's worked really well so far.
Because I remember I was doing some experiments
Sure.
in high volume,
Right.
and using high-speed cameras, and you could
Right.
see the parts actually being picked on the cover tape.
Sure.
But not from there's no problem with the tape, no problem with the carrier, but
Right.
it was just literally an ESD charge.
Right, and we haven't seen that. Now, maybe it's kind of part specific to what you're running.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but for a lot of the standard SMT parts, we haven't run into that. But there are parts that we do work with, for example, like magnetic parts, which can be very tricky because magnetic parts actually will stick to steel, and of course, there's a lot of steel in machines. So we've had to actually look at different ways of doing that. And again, it's always a challenge. There's always something that will pop up that we have to deal with. But
yeah, but
that's
if you
what
come
makes
from
it
if you come from an engineering background,
yes,
you like a challenge.
yeah, that's true. And there's plenty of challenges in this business, and but we've got a wonderful engineering team that's been with us, for 20, 25 years, and we've got people who are very well knowledgeable in what we're doing, and so it's great. It's a great team to work with.
Well, that's great.
Sure.
Well, thank you very much for stopping on
problem at all.
by.
It's great to be back.
Hopefully you're going to have a very enjoyable show,
I
a
hope
profitable
so.
show, and hopefully meet lots of visitors.
Very great to see
All
you
right?
again.
All right.
Thanks
You
so
be
much,
good.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.